deGrom back to the IL, and the nameless Yankees wake up versus the Red Sox. It's an emergency quick hits episode. Diamond Diehards is on. Joe Rizzo here bringing you baseball along with the dog, Jeff Healy. It's a quick hits because it's a Sunday night and we had to do an emergency episode because every time Jacob deGrom takes a shit, we basically have to do an episode and his name gets in the title. We're nothing like just bringing you right into it.
We're a family show.
Yeah. Don't forget
no Die Hard Dads tonight.
Don't forget to check us out at Diamond Diehards everywhere on social media, especially Twitter. Don't forget to check out the dog at Jeff Healy 8. That's the number 8 on Twitter, and diamonddiehards.com. You can check us out there. That's your easy way to find us. We want you to subscribe, follow the episodes. If you're a watcher, we're on YouTube, Twitch, whatever. And if you're a listener, iTunes and Spotify and everywhere else, but we need you to follow and we need you to share and do good reviews. FMSgraphics.com is a family-run, family-owned business for the last 50 years, bringing you the best of your printing and promotional needs. Now we are back into the swing of things, except in places like California where they're deciding to close stuff down again. Either way, if you want to get your stuff out there for your printing and promotional needs, fmsgraphics.com is your place to do it. fmsgraphics.com. fmsgraphics.com for your printing and promotional needs. Sports Maps, our pals. Sports Maps, MAPZ, a Z at the end. You can find a great piece of art for your home, your office, or your home office. Check them out at sportsmaps.com. Sports Maps with a Z, MAPZ.com. And of course, we are jumping in here for this emergency episode as the Yankees have finally woken up against the Red Sox, and they're on their 8th, 9th, and 10th outfielders of the year. We bring in the dog, who is shell shocked from the I don't know, dog. I mean, there's
somebody brought the lumber
between the Yankees and the Mets every night. It's like the Yankees have just had their greatest win of the season. Garrett Cole guts it out against the Astros in Houston. It's a 1-0 victory. And then the next night, they let up 6 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning. And Altuve walks them off with a 3-run homer right before the All-Star break. And the Yanks are done. And then, the Yanks have the first game in Boston against Boston. And, they get the COVID thing and half the team is out, including all the quote unquote good players, except for Stanton, right. And LeMahieu. So, they go and they play the first game with all these new guys, 3 guys wearing numbers in the 90s and none of them being Aaron Judge, and they get shut out. And you're like, all right, this is the end of the year for the Yankees. And then the scrubs come up in the rain yesterday. They hold them close. And then Torres and Sanchez hit a couple of homers, and the rains come and wash it out after 6. So they get the win. And now in this game that we're monitoring as we speak, it's 7-1 with 2 outs in the 8th. So we know that they're not home free based on the way these games have been going. Dog, your Mets yesterday. Well, we got to say Saturday, right?
That was just unbelievable. The Mets, I mean, it's so funny, right? Because the Mets bats have been so ice cold. And it's like, all right, they finally got to go on. McGill has been a revelation as a starter, pitching great, get off to a nice lead. They're playing the Pirates. This is kind of what you're supposed to do, right? So chugging along, 6 sip. Okay, Trevor May dances with the raindrops a little bit, gets through the 7th. I'm like, all right, that Buccos had a little run. They've been hitting, and then I bring Lugo in, and only I was like, all right, here we go. Boom, boom, 2 innings of Lugo. Let's wrap this up. He can't locate at all with either of his pitches, really, the fastball or the curve. Gets hammered. Somehow finds a way to get out at 6-5, which even that seemed at the time remarkable that they even got away at that easy.
And you're playing the Pirates.
Playing the Pirates, right? Who don't score, right? So
except against the Mets.
And then Nimmo gets the big hit. I'm like, all right, that's it. You got the 2 runs now. You're bringing Diaz in. I'm like, you get the chance. Someone could give a big fly, but all right, you get the 2-run gap, whatever on here.
Well, hasn't given up a home run all year. He's
Yeah,
completely solved, what's been ailing him since he came to the Mets. I mean, he's been great.
the big issue. And then then he just could not locate. It's funny. Someone was sort of saying that he has lost some control since since the banning of the spider tax, and maybe he's, tangentially, maybe he's had some issues with that. Speed is still there. Speed is fine. Slider break has been fine, but definitely lost his touch on that. And then just that which we were kind of chatting back and forth at the time on it, like Stallings, like somehow hits like a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, like legit a foot inside. Like this guy,
Well,
why this guy's even swinging was remarkable. Then I was like, oh my god, can you sit more on a fastball? I'm like, I'm gonna hit this literally no matter where he throws this, if it's anywhere over my shoes. And
what I thought was amazing though is leading up to that, Gregory Polanco looks at strike 3
oh yeah,
on the outside corner.
At bat. Amazing at bat. Great battle.
It was a great pitch.
It was. It was a great.
So you want to you feel like you want to knock Diaz. Right before that, he makes a great pitch. I mean, it was a strike. It was a borderline strike,
and it was a battle. That's the one normally he throws in the towel. Like normally he has trouble after he gets extended, and he kept it going. And like I said, Polanco battled, very hard on his point of
and
view.
Diaz took a little bit off that 91 outside corner.
Yeah.
And Polanco's bitching about it. I'm like, dude, get back in the dugout. I mean, it was.
Yeah, that really wasn't all that close.
It was close. It was close.
Yeah.
It was close.
Yeah.
And I could see why, but it wasn't like egregious or at all. Like you could I could have, if he called it a ball, I could understand it, but I would have called it, a strike from what I'm seeing. And then the next pitch, Stallings, dude, you got to watch that replay in slow motion. That ball is, if he doesn't hit the ball,
it's going to hit his elbow.
It's going to hit his back elbow.
100%.
It's going to hit him.
I first thought, I'm like, oh my God, he's going to drill him.
And then
he goes to swings. I'm like, thanks. And then
he waits just long enough, and it just pops it a mile high. And Diaz is pointing to the sky like, hey, it's a pop-up. It's a pop-up. And then, Pilar dives 2 rows into the outfield.
Unbelievable. That was an amazing job. Gary Doran is like, did he catch it?
Yeah.
Like it got so far in. It's like, oh my Lord.
Well, because
I think he was like 3 seats over, actually. I think at the right depth. I don't think he was actually in the right spot.
Yeah, but it's such a hard. It would have been
unbelievable.
With
just
the
to get
angle,
up there.
With the angle that he had to go at, he really.
It was an unbelievable effort.
Like, I don't like the angle that he was running at the wall. Like, he couldn't have even gotten over the wall in any other place if he didn't do it there, I think.
Yeah.
So you can't knock the effort. But like, what I think is great is, Gary Thorne was in for the weekend covering for Gary Cohen and adding a little life. Now, you and I are old enough to remember when Gary Thorne was a freaking Met radio announcer.
Yes, that is right.
Harry Rose, right? I mean,
they even played his '86 call of the Ray Knight homer, which is tremendous. As you would imagine.
Well, his call, his Mookie.
The JD Davis call is great.
His Mookie Wilson, his call, the Mookie Wilson ground ball, as he was on the color end. So what they used to do is they used to have this is the way they used to do it on radio. They'd have whoever was the color commentator would do play-by-play for the middle 3 innings. So it would be like the regular person, then they'd flip for the middle 3, and then they'd go back to it for the last 3. And then if they went to extra innings, they'd flip it again, which was odd because that's how Charlie Steiner has the Aaron Boone Yankee radio call. And it's not John Sterling, because John Sterling and Charlie Steiner had flipped for that. So, Gary Thorne was.
I think that was still Murph though, actually, on the call, the '86 call.
Yes, I think it was. I think it was.
Yeah. So normally he was switched, but Murph actually was doing, because it's funny. You listen to the Murph call, and he's so bummed out. You listen to Murphy, he's like, there's no way that's the way of this game. And which is very jarring listening to Murphy normally. And it just makes it just all the more remarkable on that. But you're listening, it's oh, it's so disappointing. And it's been such a great season. I was like, wow, Bob totally doesn't think they're going to win this game.
But Gary Thorne delivers one of my favorite lines ever. and the Red Sox standing on the field in stunned disbelief.
Disbelief. That is
And
a
I
great
can't
line.
tell you how many times I have used stunned disbelief after that. I throw stunned disbelief out like I sound like a smart
That
guy.
sounds like every 2 out of 3 you've taken from me in Strat.
Yeah, pretty much.
The dog is in stunned disbelief. When Darnell
The-
Cole struck out.
yeah, yeah. Because I'm the only guy that would
Darnell
bring
Cole.
in a lefty to get him into the game. Why? So I could weaken your defense for the next inning. Um, anyway, so here we are, right? Like the Yanks are somehow a half inning essentially away from at this point. Hopefully they complete this. Otherwise, we're gonna have to redo this episode. But of
Into movie I played though.
taking 2 out of 3 after the first game was postponed and moved to September. They didn't do a 7 inning doubleheader deal, but there's a bunch of guys that are playing for the Yankees that even the Yankee fans have like never heard of, right? Like, I mean, like your lineup for this game is LeMahieu at third, Stanton DH, and Stanton's 0 for 4, by the way. Gary Sanchez behind the plate, Gleyber Torres, he has a homer, Chris Gittens at first, who's had a walk in this game. I mean, he's only hitting 107, but whatever. Ambergy was in the game to start in right field, and he got hurt. So they replaced him with Gardy, but then Lemaire came in and moved from left. I mean, Greg Allen came in, or whatever. I think
Doesn't matter.
Gardner came in. Oh no, I know.
Three guys you never heard of for playing the outfield.
Lamar was in left. Greg Allen was in center. So Lamar moved from left to right. Greg Allen moved from center to left. But point is, like the bottom of the order, Brett Gardner's come in and he's gotten a hit. It was off of a lefty. Odor jacked a homer. He's up to 224. Lamar got a hit. Allen got a hit. And, between those guys, like the one guy off the bench, they have 5 of their 7 hits, and they've scored 7 runs through the game to this point. And it's basically their 8th, 9th, and 10th outfielders. Like it's just crazy. Like these guys keep getting hurt, and you know what they're doing? They're Odor drag bunted for a hit, and he's got a home run. I mean, like this is like what we haven't seen.
Yep.
Then you have A-Rod was who's on the call, and A-Rod was talking about the play-by-play guy. I guess it was John Sciambi is saying, Joey Gallo. What do you think of Joey Gallo? Would be like a perfect fit for this team? No. And A-Rod's like, no, actually, I don't think so at all. I don't want more swing and miss guys. I want contact guys. He's like, and Sciambi was like, left-handed bat, whatever. And A-Rod's like, well, where are you going to play him? And it's like, well, you'd move around the roster to do whatever. But like, I agree with A-Rod in this case, or maybe he's agreeing with me because, I agree with that. Like, you don't need another swing and miss guy. And now all of a sudden you're forced to plug in these guys, and these guys are not known, all of them for hitting the ball over the wall, and they have to bunt. Lamar stole a base. The Yankees are last in steals and steal attempts. They get thrown out all over the bases. They made a big base running play where it worked out for them, where Odor went first to third. The throw bounced. Lamar moved up from, instead of being on first and having a first and third, it's second and third. And all of a sudden, they manufacture 4 runs in the 6th inning. I mean, they couldn't touch the Red Sox. Now they're making the Red Sox look the way the Yankees looked. I mean, and it all is in the name of versatility. They have to solve a different problem. Why? Because it's left-handed bats and switch hitters. You can't just throw the same 6 guys out there and just mow them down with sliders, curves, whatever, and the occasional fastball. Like, you can't do it. They're harder to play against. Now, they're not going to necessarily score more runs on a consistent basis, and they're not going to put up these 13-run games, bashing the ball over the walls, but it's when they're scoring the runs and how they're scoring the runs and what moves they're forcing the other team to do, putting pressure on the defense, putting more balls in play. We both listen to the Shigan Nation podcast with our buddy Jeff Fry. He had on Will the Thrill Clark. I don't know if you got to hear that one, Dog, But the thrill was talking about how, now listen, a lot of this stuff is when we played the game, this is how we do it and we play the right way. And I know that turns some people off. It turns, the young people off a lot of times, whatever. But those guys are in our age range, right? And we understand what
I
they
mean,
what they
as much
mean.
as I hate him, Will the Thrill, I mean, he completely lived up to that.
Yeah, he
Right? I
did.
mean,
But
there's no more professional hitter out there
right,
at that time.
one of the big points that he made on that show was, we're in games, and let's put these games in the 90s. You're striking out maybe 5 times a game as a team. And now you might have a game where, it's not that uncommon where your team strikes out 17 times in a game. He goes, that's 12 times on outs that you're putting the ball in play and you're forcing the defense to make a play.
Yep.
And that starts to add up. Like, it doesn't always mean an error. It doesn't mean another hit. It means maybe a runner gets moved up. It means you're putting a little bit more pressure on the defense. That you're putting more pressure on the pitching staff. You're putting more pressure on the managers. You're putting pressure on somebody to make a big play or make a big throw with 2 outs. Like, that's the kind of stuff that adds up, and it is lost. I do agree with them on this. And I am a big stat, numbers, analytics guy. All this stuff's right up my alley. And we can't do play by play, dog, but it's a Yankee homer. Okay, a 2-run homer to right. Lamar, first homer. You're hearing it. We can't do this.
Lamar takes a good pitch here, 99 miles an hour off the bat, little breaking ball.
We
goes
can't.
With it.
Okay, we can't play A-Rod's analysis of this. We can't.
And a thing of beauty there.
We're not licensed to do this, so we're not going to do that. So what that does, right? It starts to add up, and the Red Sox are now forced to play against the Yankee team that's decidedly not as good as the one that they beat, the first 6 times or 7 times this year. But they're different. They're versatile. They're not. They can't game plan for these guys, and now without a game plan, all of a sudden, it's 9-1 in the 8th inning. Like, with a bunch of nobodies. Like, how do you explain it? Well, the way you explain it is versatility. And the other thing, Dog, that are your pal A-Rod, my pal A-Rod, who once referred to me as this gentleman over here in the Yankee locker room. Point that out. He's saying, as part of what I was talking about before about how he doesn't want them to get Joey Gallo, he's saying, he does think that Anthony Rizzo is a perfect fit for the Red Sox. As you know, I've said he's a perfect fit for the Yankees. I've been talking about Rizzo to New York for the whole season, basically. And now these people are starting to catch on. They also, on the broadcast on ESPN, were talking about, the team that, if the Yankees fall out of it here the next 9 days, like they did in 2016, and all of a sudden, they sort of expectedly but unexpectedly become sellers. He's like, look what they did then. They had Chapman, they traded him. They had Andrew Miller, they traded him. And, the guy that everybody's most interested in is Aaron Judge. And what did I tell you on what was it, the last episode of the episode before? What did I tell you about the Aaron Judge trade rumors, Dog?
They're going to start kicking up, and they're absolute garbage.
They're garbage. Okay,
garbage.
They're garbage. And the
Yankees
Yankees have
Garbage. Garbage.
Yankees have, they're touting it as the Yankees have a big decision to make about Aaron Judge, who's a free agent after 2022. Like, they're not trading Aaron Judge. Okay. They would let Judge walk as a free agent before they traded him. I don't care that, there's maybe one scenario like where they go into next season and they're 20-42 and they're really not going anywhere. And Judge says, I'm kind of having second thoughts. I don't know if I would want to resign because now we're really in a downturn and I want to win or something like that. Like, and even then, I still think
still
it's
not happen.
I still think they might not trade him. I think that eventually, if somebody decided to blow his doors off and the Yankees were like, okay, he's 31 and we don't want to sign him for that many years. And he's like, well, I want that many years. And, I'm glad to go play for San Francisco until I'm 38 and they're giving me this money, blah, blah, blah. Then, you know what? All right, maybe they let him walk. Maybe they let him walk in that case. Other than that, it's just garbage. It's garbage. Use your head. Like, these people are on ESPN. Come on. I mean, of course, other teams are going to talk about how they want Aaron Judge from the Yankees. If you looked at the Yankees roster, who the fuck would you want besides Aaron Judge? He's the guy that you want. Why is that a story? It's nothing. It's garbage.
Put the kids to bed tonight.
Man, I'm not even. Dog, I'm fired up.
I mean,
fired up.
Riz, we've talked about before, and I think when I was looking at the Yankees stuff, it's up the middle, right? I mean, the problem is effectively the Yankees have just an excess of left fielders, right fielders, first base, and third baseman, and weirdly second baseman that don't play second base for you.
Right.
But we're just my own like weird quirk on that. I'm like, you have two great second basemen, neither of whom actually play there. But I mean that honestly, if you need to fix the Yankees, right? And we sort of chatted before on it. I mean, to me, that's where you need to fix. You need to fix it up the middle, and that starts to solve everything. It starts to fix the pitching. That's how you get guys in there. You know what? Kind of like Gardy was 3 years ago, right? 4 years ago, right? The sort of the scrappy guy who can steal a base for you, plays good defense, etc. He's just not there anymore. But you need another guy like that, right? To start to solidify up the middle. Particularly if you're going to go with Sanchez and behind the plate. Okay, normally at one of those four positions, right? You can kind of go with, all right, maybe we're taking a little bit of a step back on defense. Normally it's the second baseman. A lot of times, sort of next one is probably catcher, just because it's tough to get a good defensive catcher who's also hits enough to be in your lineup. But then your other two guys, your shortstop and your center fielder, have to be kind of like really solid glove guys, and that strengthens that rotation for you. That's what's kept the Mets in this whole time with the lineup woefully underperforming. Throughout it. It's been their defense has been amazing, which is a complete 180 from what they were previously, and they got better starting pitching from further down in the lineup or further down the rotation from guys that you necessarily didn't think were going to get it done.
Speaking of not getting it done, in this day on this July 18th Sunday, it was Taijuan Walker who for once didn't get it done, and he goes a third of an inning. They give up 6 runs in the inning, but 3 of them were on a ridiculous play. Knobloch pulled a rock, like where the bases loaded, and the guy in the Pirates hits the ball. I watched it like 5 times. I still think the ball hit him, like in the box.
That's kind of what the Mets were arguing too.
And then
but yeah,
the ball bounces on the foul side of third base, and it is rolling on the foul side of the line it bounced to the point where it became a roller, and it rolls, and it gets to the line.
Dog legs.
It gets to the line. Like, you just never see that. Like, it didn't hit the grass and take a turn. It didn't seem to have a big English spin on it.
I haven't seen that since like 1985 Cardinals, which totally used to have those base paths tilted in, so you would get the balls out, roll back into fair territory. But that's like the last time you've seen stuff like that.
This was just a crazy play, and then Walker decides to touch the ball as it hits the line, which that was just not a smart play at that point. Just grab it, and then he tries to pick it up, and he ends up flicking it. It doesn't get into his glove. He flicks it. It goes to the backstop, but like on the third base side of the backstop. And all the runners are just running around the bases, and the batter ends up on second. I don't know how he didn't end up on third, at least. When the Mets are like looking around, like, what are you talking about? It's a foul ball. And the Pirates are like, keep running. Yeah,
good on the third base coach. Catching up on that. Yeah, that was funny. Like, if he took it like through the dugout, right? Even that would have just been 2 runs. It's
right,
like, you have to try hard to say, take this, throw it near the dugout, not in the dugout, near the dugout. Let it get wobble around over there. Not so hard it actually bounces back to you. Just kind of like a flick it over there. It's like you threw a grenade over there.
At this point, if you're a Met fan, you're like, okay, now deGrom is on the IL again. Okay, let's be fair.
I got that at noon.
Retroactive to July 15th. So it's a week more from the time that we're recording this. So it's not, and he probably is only going to miss that amount of time.
I don't know.
Think at least because there's no structural damage. So it's if forearm tightness can disappear in a day. But they don't take a chance. So now you have the deGrom news, right? you have the grand slam walk-off 9-7 loss when you had a 6-0 lead. And now your first inning, you've just given up 6 runs. So you've just given up 15 runs in the last 3 innings to the Pirates,
which is like 2 weeks for them.
Right, who can't otherwise hit their way out of a paper bag else, otherwise. And you're like, this is it. This is the end of the season. And then they come back and they score 7 runs and they win the game. And you're like, okay, I guess we're back to business, guys. And now you're like, oh, when's Coco coming back? Like, is he gonna be back? Meanwhile, Brett Gardner. Okay, so in the Yankee game, no, listen, folks, we can't do play-by-play. Okay. Oh, what a catch by Gaudy and Senna. Oh, what a catch.
Gaudy.
So they brought Chapman in. We got to see if an 8-run lead is enough for Chappie, and he got the first guy, but it was a fly ball that went 407 feet, and Gardy caught right at the 408-foot sign. So maybe that's not a good sign. Rafael Devers is usually the guy that gets them, but I don't know. So you got that as a Met fan, and here you are. You're still in first place. Like, you've done it sort of with smoke and mirrors. You get JD Davis back. He's hitting the cover off the ball amidst rumors that Chris Bryant looks like a perfect fit for the Mets. Blah blah blah. Guess what, guys? We've been telling you that since for how long? Well, really, Dawg. I gotta give Dawg more credit for that because I've been a JD Davis guy all the way, and I think you pretty much wanted Bryant from spring training.
Why? See, I think the Mets. Actually, I don't hate on JD Davis, but I think the Mets don't see Davis as the third base solution.
Right.
And Guillorme continually doesn't stay in the lineup long enough to prove that his bat's worthy enough.
Oh,
to hold down third or
we
short.
We forgot about the fact that Lindor could be out for 6 weeks. We forgot about that. Like, and Mike Puma, Mike Puma actually had a great tweet. Mike Puma, the Mets beat writer for the Post, and folks, again, can't do play-by-play, but Chapman strikes out Dahlbeck, and he's 1 out away. Now, if he could hold this 8-run lead, if he could give up less than 8 runs and just get 1 more out, then he might be back. So Puma says it's kind of surprising and amazing how few Met fans seemed like even concerned that Francisco Lindor is going to be out for like probably 6 weeks. Like, and he's totally right.
100%. Yeah.
Totally
I mean,
right.
well, that's what we said before. His impact on the defense has been huge, and he was finally starting to hit. So you really were just starting to get the tiptoes of like, oh, here we go. And now he's going to start getting, maybe hits 250, 260 for the year. And, if he's, I guess his OPS, I think is just under 7, if I remember right, from being down abysmal below, maybe he goes on a second half tear and winds up being a decent year. Now, I mean, again, probably pretty well a shot. I mean, I guess your plus side is you have Gourmet, who's a good fielder and can hang in there. We're just very happy that Chappie must have locked down.
Chappie with the easy grounder to short, a 1-2-3 9th. Yanks win 9-1. They take 2 of 3 from Boston, and I don't know, they're not dead yet. I told you they weren't dead. I mean, they'll probably get swept in Fenway next weekend, but like, who gives a shit? For today, they are alive, baby. They are.
But yeah, I mean, Lindor's a big hit up. Now, part of the speed that they have out there too, is really the field general for the team as well, which I think is not that's not to be overlooked. The impact that he has on that, especially with some of the younger pitchers that come along. That I think he does have a significant impact on the team on that. So yeah, I think it's a significant challenge for him. In terms of what they need, I do think they have a couple of pieces that I like. To me, I don't really see the going for Bryant. To be honest, I think they need more pitching. I think the hitting's going to start to finally come around enough. But to me, it's still the pitching that is what they need, and especially since they've kind of stitched together for so long. You're starting to see Stroman starting to hit the wall a little bit. You got deGrom with the injury concerns and whatnot. So if you don't get Carrasco back quick, you're asking an awful lot of Walker, and and McGill to be out there, time after time after time. Like I said, it's starting tomorrow. They got 3-game series. They have TBA, right? So I mean, they just brought in Eichhoff is the guy. I mean, is that better than TBA? I don't know, but it's they only cut the guy twice in like the last month, but you definitely need to short it up. And like I said, even coming into the season, right? We talked about, can these guys go like the long distance, right? And they didn't get to throw that many innings last year. So everyone, to me, really should be looking for an extra starter or two that they can come across. And even more so for like a guy like Taijuan Walker, right? Kind of coming off a little bit of injury and whatnot. It's like, he's been great, but how many times you want to go to it with him? You're gonna need at some point. He's probably gonna need a little bit of a break along the way.
It's a chess game. It's a chess game, and there's people talking about, well, listen, the Mets could go out. They have enough goods that they could go get Trevor Story. They could play him at short. They hedge for this season. If for some reason Lindor can't come back, they're set. And if he does come back, then Story, obviously you could just move him over to third. Whatever. I'm like, that's kind of a lot to ask. Like that's too. It's too much. Like it's an elephant gun solution, when you only need a pistol, right?
I agree.
But the thing is now, like, it is like a little bit of a concern. Like, it's kind of like the reverse of what would happen, say, with the Yankees if they had, a different shortstop. And like, say the Yankees had traded for Lindor, right? And LeMahieu was playing third or first or whatever, and they were playing Torres at second. And then Yankee Lindor got hurt. Well, what would you do? You would move Torres over there for 6 weeks. Like, that makes sense, right? The Mets can't do that. They, McNeil can't. He's not a shortstop, right?
Yeah, you have to go with Guillorme. Really.
You got to go with Guillorme, and maybe Guillorme performs a little better at short. Maybe he's just a little more consistent if he's playing shortstop than he is when he's playing third. Like, he has these sort of like great moments, and then there's other times where he lapses, and you're just like, how is this the same guy? I don't know, Doug. Does it all add up? I wore my pie. I'm wearing my pie shirt tonight.
I was noticing. I was figuring that was it. I wasn't sure if there was like a little Jersey Thunder under there or something. I wasn't sure if it was a funky J and T going on there.
It's the number. If you look closely, it's the numbers of pi.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah,
that's
but this isn't like, we can't let people forget. This is an emergency episode of Diamond Diehards.
That's why we got the shirt going. We get the medevac shirt.
Oh, shit. That's perfect. I mean, this is like, I was out I did like almost 10 miles today, Doc.
Nice. Okay. Very nice. Okay. Good job. Right.
I had to, and I was walking through and I was listening to like a hockey podcast, Cam and Strick. I'll give those guys props because I listen to them all the time. Cam Jansen, Andy Strickland. But I was walking through. I'm like, oh man, I'm like two episodes down on Black Diamonds right now. I might have to like do that. And then I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe I just want to get my walk in and not have something crazy happen, which is what seems to happen when I listen to the Black Diamonds podcast on my walks. Like, I'm like, do I need to find somebody's wallet today or help Marge with her garbage? I don't know.
I deliver it, baby. I better wash my hands before I go.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see. So I think, so I'm less worried about deGrom than you are, which kind of makes sense.
I'm really nervous
because you're a Met fan and you're all in, and you're looking at this season where you have, really the competition is kind of down. It's worse than we expected from the NL East, at least at this point. I mean, the Phillies are right there. Atlanta without Acuna for the rest of the year is right there, although they just traded for Jock Peterson. And the Nationals still not that far off, and Miami would, really have to come in like a house of fire to kind of get into it. Then we had Dawg, that craziness on Saturday night, the shooting outside the third base gate at Nationals Park, which was crazy, right? And,
yeah, my niece's friend was actually there. We were just talking about it tonight.
Really?
So very scary. Actually, I got a little bit more color on that. I said when shots first went off, that I guess the PA announcers came out and said that there was a shooter within the stadium.
Oh my God!
So that was some things like you saw some of the videos and stuff. People hiding like behind like seats and stuff, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you're outside, why are you doing that? And now it makes more sense when someone's saying that. then I think they fairly quickly, like the story I read by there already had it, so it was outside, and they were telling people to shelter in place within the stadium, and et cetera, which is the right move. But yeah, just a scary situation. And I was saying, like, I mean, if you ever have heard shots, like when you hear a shot, I mean, you honestly, unless you're like a sniper or whatever, like where that shot's coming from. Or you hear this big loud bang, and it's like, especially like a concrete building, it's gonna be echoing from all over the place. So you don't really know where the thing is at that point.
You just got to get under something,
Yeah.
right?
Get behind concrete. Don't
Yeah.
get behind a plastic seat, but get close to that concrete. Concrete will save you. The plastic will not do anything. So
Not gonna. Well, I mean, but
concealment
again,
at best, and that's
you're
you're not really concealing much from there, but
you're
not cover.
you're vulnerable, and you're kind of clueless, right? I mean, like,
Yeah, it's
where do you
a
go?
scary switch, right? You got
Yeah,
what
where
are
do
you
you
gonna
go?
do?
What do you do?
Right,
Kids,
you're
you got
stuck.
kids there, maybe your own, if not your own. How far are you going to look in a stadium like that? And there's other kids, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah, no place to
you
go.
got to protect a kid. I
It's
mean,
awful.
yeah,
So
it's
thank God no one's in the stadium. Sound like they were affected, but yeah, just a terrible tragedy to hear.
and we'll hear more unfold about what happened. I think it was like 4 people ended up getting shot. I don't know what it was in
Yeah,
relation to. Of course, this comes on the
I think one
heels of,
was waiting for an Uber. Maybe she left the game. I don't know. Right,
yeah, I
I'm not
mean,
sure on that.
and
Just happenstance.
we have this coming on the heels of that arsenal that was found in Denver, right outside, where
Yeah, the
where they
All-Star
were
game
going to
was
do
going to
the
be.
All-Star game festivities and stuff like that. Although authorities said like it wasn't related, it wasn't linked, whatever. I mean, come on, like let's
Who
that's a
knows?
quick
Who knows? It's
conclusion.
still scary. Yeah.
I hope that's the case. I hope that's the case. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm kind of sitting there with logic and putting 2 and 2 together, like big event, like that kind of happens. I mean,
People are
like
pissed off about it already. Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not beyond the scope of I mean,
Craziness.
it's the first thing that you think of, right? It's the first thing that a lot of places that were reporting it were thinking of. So
Yeah.
that's that's sort of within baseball, but outside of baseball, I guess you get the things like on the field here. Um, the Brewers come back and they smack the Reds around for 3. Um, and they just basically, Cincinnati had gotten close there. They gotten within 2.5. The Brewers sweep them on the return here, and they push their lead to 5.5. The Mets, I'm sorry, 7. They pushed the lead to 7, and they had gotten to within 4. So I was thinking of the Reds wild card. So, the Brewers had let the Reds get a little bit close. The Reds had played well against them, the previous 2 times, this time, not so much. That's a big statement by Milwaukee right there. So they have the 7-game cushion over the Reds. They have 9 cushion over the Cubs and Cardinals. Both teams could be now, if they continue to fall. I mean, the Cubs are sitting there losing games in Arizona. They already sold Jock Peterson. The rumors are abound about Chris Bryant, and secondarily about Javi Baez and Anthony Rizzo. It's kind of like, if you're going to sell one, you might as well sell all 3, but you never really know. Extension talks with Rizzo, he's a free agent too, along with the Baez, and listen, where I stand. Come to the Bronx, cousin Anthony. I'll gladly wear my Anthony Rizzo Cub jersey, regardless. But you got
How about
that.
Javi Baez for the Yankees?
Yeah.
Just wait for the off season and sign the best, or
Yeah, I don't.
maybe?
I just.
Guess it depends. It depends. I'm not sure you're.
I don't.
I'm not sure the Yankees are in a spot to be the flat out adder, but
I think you create an issue by doing that. I think my
gotta fix
solution there.
shortstop. Gotta fix shortstop.
Yeah, but my solution there is if you trade, Glaber Torres in a deal that nets you Anthony Rizzo, you move Gio Urshela over there to short, and then you have other guys that you could fill in at third. You could play Odor at second, and you could play LeMahieu at third. You can go get Jose Ramirez from Cleveland and play him at third, and Odor then goes back to your utility spot. And you just improved like a lot of positions by doing that. You might be a little short in terms of the backup for Urshela. just totally think that he could play shortstop for you. And I think he could get you through. I think he could get you through the rest of the season. I think he could get you through the playoffs. He's going to hit a little bit. His defense is going to be adequate, not superstar, but he's not going to kill you there either. He's not going to be any worse than Torres. And, I mean, I like Torres. I don't really want to see him go, but I think that he's a chip that you could use to put a lot of the wheels in motion to get yourself to become a more versatile team. I keep, saying it every week. Rizzo at first, Ramirez at third, going to solve a lot of problems for you. And you can move out, you can move out Voit and you can move out Torres. Yes. Does it hurt to give up good players? Yes. You get players that fit your, you get players that fit your construction well back. And then if you want to go and re-sign them, you go and re-sign them. And if not, you go out and you can play games in the free agent market. If you got rid of Torres, well, guess what? You got by with Urshela for the rest of the season, and now you have the greatest free agent shortstop market in the history of the majors. And if you want to make a splash with one of those guys, then go do it. But if you don't, then guess what? Trade for somebody else's shortstop, and that team will free up that spot and sign Trevor Story, right? You could do that too. You could get Andrelton Simmons tomorrow if you wanted to, or you could sign him at the end of the year because I think he's a free agent. He was only on a 1-year deal. You could get guys to fill that gap. You could get him in a trade if you didn't want to play Urshela there. So I think there's a lot of avenues to do it. And you know what? In the outfield, you'll get Judge back very soon. And listen, let some of these other guys that you never heard of, let them go out there and try to make a name for themselves. Let Greg Allen. I mean, everybody thought he was a running back before this, the old chief running back, Greg Allen. Let Greg Allen. He's a switch hitter. He was the Padres, fringe outfielder last year. The guy could play a little bit. Maybe he catches fire for half a season. Maybe he becomes Homer Bush for half a year, and let him play. Let him go. Let him go. Ride the hot bat. When he cools off, throw somebody else in there. Cycle those guys in and out. They gave him juice. I mean, they haven't done shit against the Red Sox this year to put these guys in. All of a sudden, they beat him 2 games in a row.
There you go.
Is that it?
I think that's it.
Anything? That's a quick hit.
That was a quick hit.
FMSgraphics.com, family-owned, family-run business, 50 years. Check them out for all your printing and promotional needs. FMSgraphics.com. FMSgraphics.com for your printing and promotional needs. Sports Maps. MAPZ, Sports Maps, a great piece of art for your home, your office, or your home office. Check them out at Sports Maps with a Z, sportsmapz.com. All right, another quick hit in the books. We'll be back later in the week with a full episode, a couple of surprises maybe here and there. We're working on some really cool stuff. In the meantime, don't forget to check us out everywhere on social media. Interact with us. Go back and listen to some previous episodes. If you're just jumping in, go in, get the feel for it. At Diamond Diehards, pretty much everywhere. Really, the Facebook group, you definitely want to join that. But we're both of us, Dawg and I, are active on Twitter. I'm at Diamond Diehards. Dawg is at Jeff Healy 8. That's the number 8, the numeral. So go check us out there. Give us a follow. Tell us what you think, whether you like it, hate it, whatever. We're glad to hear it. Although, we like the stuff better. And give us a little feedback because we always want it. That's going to wrap it for the Dawg, Jeff Healy. This is Joe Rizzo. Diamond Diehards. Quick Hits is out.